We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.
Assistive devices are meant to help persons with disabilities perform certain tasks. There have been calls for the government to subsidize the prices of these devices as they are quite expensive. Today we feature Lincoln, who has gone out of his way to make wheelchairs. I'm your host, Jen Theory. Welcome.
We're differently abled, differently.
Lack of assistive devices in Kenya has contributed negatively to the lives of persons with disabilities. They are quite expensive and scarce in the market. Lincoln Wamae makes special consideration for special cases when it comes to pricing of wheelchairs. Take a look.
When I was in Nanyuki, I never saw more than, I would say, in the highest number I've seen of people with disability at once was maybe 5. So in 2014 when I came to Nairobi, I was very shocked. That was okay. I had come to Nairobi on several times before then, but this when I moved to Nairobi, I saw a lot of people with disabilities at one point. That was on a rainy season, and it was on rush hour when people wanted to go home. It was very challenging for them because no matatu could accept them in the matatus, because you have to carry them, board them into a matatu, and again they have a wheelchair that you need to, some wheelchairs are not even foldable. So it's like for one person with disability, it's like you have to carry them to the matatu. Again, you have to carry the wheelchair to the rooftop of the matatu so that you can be able to take them home. So I saw that people with disability were being neglected by our drivers, our conductors, as in public means we're really neglecting them.
Lincoln Wamae, founder of Linsen Technology, is a self-taught engineer thanks to the internet. He makes electric wheelchairs from recycled parts for persons with disabilities.
I really wanted to do mechatronic when I completed my Form 4 level, but I never managed to do that. I'm a Form 3 dropout. That was back in 2008. But that never stopped me from achieving and fulfilling my dreams. I had to figure out ways to fulfill them and try to make myself an engineer. And I would say everything I do till today, I've learned through internet, following the right channels, and I would say it's God-given talent too. Because
having made the first prototype in 2016, Lincoln's motivation was as a result of the large number of persons with disabilities he noticed, especially in Nairobi.
I'm someone who's been bringing solutions for the problem that I see. So I figured out a way of helping and coming up with a solution. And the only thing I could have done or I could do at that point was to design a wheelchair. Okay, that time it was not a wheelchair. To design something that can ease the mode of transport for them. A vehicle that can carry them from home to workplace and take them back home in the evening. Mostly, people design in a computer, a model in a computer, then they make a prototype. Unfortunately for me, I design it in my mind and I build it. Then I draw it in a computer. That's how I operate. So first of all, you have to get to source batteries. You have to get a good supply for batteries, because batteries are needed in bulk. Secondly, you have to get the correct electronics. We have motors, we have speed controllers, accelerators. So at least now we have good channels for good suppliers, and within a day we can even build 2 wheelchairs. Within 5 hours I'm able to complete one wheelchair.
Although many youth indulge in wayward behaviors, Lincoln is lucky to have escaped the trap. The more reason he offers employment to his fellow youth.
Talking of drugs and things that the youth are doing nowadays, if I didn't have a vision and a focus, I think up to now I would be using drugs. But since I was focused and I had something I wanted to do to fulfill in future, I started to get the resources that I needed. Employment has been my key thing, employing the youth, because I understand, there was a time I was looking for employment. It was very challenging. So it feels nice when I employ youth and train them to be useful people, because in my company, I don't like employing people fully, because I like training people to be important people in the society, so that they can do something impactful to the society.
The fact that he uses electronic waste doesn't exempt him from challenges.
Right now, people are getting to recycling batteries. So now the batteries we are not getting enough batteries. That is the main challenge. Our wheelchairs or vehicles are powered by batteries. So if you don't get batteries, they won't move. So we have that challenge of batteries. I understand we have a lot of institutions where they have a lot of batteries, but they don't know where to take them. I can, because I've been recycling. I'll keep them, I'll put them in good use. Sometimes you have the challenge of importing and things get delayed before they get, and you had promised a customer in this time the wheelchair will be ready. So that are kind of the challenges we have with shipping companies. Again, like the products we make, the wheelchairs we make, we don't have a designated place for them to be ridden on the highways. That is the main challenge with users.
The lack of access to assistive devices and technologies by those who need them has resulted in a number of barriers which ought to be broken. The more reason why Lincoln makes special considerations for special cases when it comes to pricing.
One thing we had to consider when I was designing the wheelchairs, I had to make them affordable to beat the imported ones. I think as for now, the cheapest wheelchair you can get, an imported wheelchair, the cheapest you can get is 130,000, and mine is 80,000. So I think there's a great difference. But what we're offering is a solution. The imported wheelchairs are not meant for Kenyan roads. We have bad roads. But the wheelchairs we design are meant for off-road capability. They have shock absorbers to make the roughest terrain so smooth. And for those people who can't afford, because I understand most people with disability are associated with poverty, of which sometimes is not the correct thing to say. Most people who buy wheelchairs from me, they rely on the society to do a contribution and buy a wheelchair for them. In my case, like for instance, if someone is being donated, people are donating for someone to buy a wheelchair, there's a percentage I give.
Though Lincoln uses junk material, he says there are those that he must import.
There are some parts I import, like the speed controllers, because it's easy to import than to manufacture them locally. In fact, we didn't have the facility that could be able to manufacture electronics, but at least now we do. But the capability for them to manufacture is beyond what we need. So right now we're still importing, but in future we want to be supporting local manufacturing factories and local youth to grow.
In addition to what he does, Lincoln also gives back to society, especially to persons with disabilities, in the little ways he can.
We actually visit the less fortunate who are disabled. We love visiting them. And sometimes we even donate wheelchairs to those who can't afford at all. Yeah. Again, through social media, we've been able to reach out to even people who are abroad who buy wheelchairs for our local people here.
Due to his love for the environment, Lincoln's workshop is also solar powered.
Due to my love for green energy, we even made sure that our workshop is fully powered by solar panels. We make sure everything we build is powered by batteries. Our wheelchairs are built using solar power energy, because we run the workshop using solar panels. So we love solving the environment and not polluting it.
He is lucky to have received financial grants that aided his projects.
I think the only thing that I've ever received was a grant. It's from UK Aid through a program called AT 2030, Assistive Technology 2030. I won the grant because of the wheelchair I designed and built. The rest I've been receiving through services I offer and selling the wheelchairs. Although what we make from selling the wheelchairs is not enough for us, because we are dealing with someone who we don't want to sell our products that expensive so that people can be able to afford them. So the revenue we make from selling the wheelchair is not enough to sustain us, and that's why we even designed scooters and other products that are using batteries.
Lincoln gives a thumbs up to KBC, the new curriculum, for the mere fact that it supports skills and talent.
For instance, in my case, I might be talented, but if I were to look for a job in a company without papers, I wouldn't get employment. So I think the way the government has turned this into supporting talents from that young age, that was a good move. The CBCs will do a good job. There are people who are talented in doing other things than in the books.
In his closing remarks, Lincoln emphasizes on the need for the youth to capitalize on their ideas.
To my fellow youth, if you have an idea or a solution you would like to solve, get the right channel, get the right resources, give it time. Sometimes the financial support is what we lack. Give it enough time. Like if you know how much it will cost you, you can save for it, because sometimes getting the financial to support those projects is the biggest challenge. Like for me, I received that. I got that challenge too. Give it time, get enough resources, and work on it. And I swear at some point it will give you a good feedback, because I've come to understand Africans love things designed and created in Africa, because it was created by someone who understands the problem better than anyone else.
Let's take a short breather and we'll be right back with more, so don't go too far.
We're differently abled, differently. We're differently abled, differently.
Welcome back, and you're definitely watching Able Differently with your host here, Jane Theuri. A lot of barriers exist when it comes to accessibility of services such as health, employment, political representation, just to mention a few, when it comes to persons with disabilities. Majority of Kenyans share the same sentiments, and they feel that there is more that is yet to be done in order to curb such challenges. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
In the society, people with disability don't get the attention they require. Like this issue of being neglected by public transport, and for those who care for them in public transport, because there are those people who care for them, the vehicles are not designed to accommodate them.
People with disabilities are well represented in various sectors, because I have some of the examples of some of the private sectors and the government sectors where people are employed and they live with a disability. And of course, even a good example is our university here, where we have people with disabilities that are employed. Yeah, and also when you check on adverts or on adverts where people are requested to apply, those ones with disabilities, and maybe we can just say it's just a general disaster that many people are not employed generally. We have also the disabilities being part of the group.
Mimi sijafurahishwa na jinsi walemavu wanavyowakilishwa. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied at all. Naona serikali inafaa izingatie, iweke umuhimu hata katika kuandika watu kazi. Watoe sheria kwamba mahali watu wanaandikwa hata kama ni 10, mahali kuna any recruitment, walemavu wawe included. Kuwe at least na 3/4 ya walemavu. Walemavu wamebaguliwa hata kazini, unakuta hata hawaheshimiwi. Kwa hivyo mimi naona serikali hapo imeteleza na hapo imetuangusha serikali.
They are represented but not to the level that we may expect. We have seen in political environment the people elected to represent the people with disabilities, they may seem to be doing a bit of their work, but most of it is influenced by politics and then partisan politics in Kenya. And so you find the interest of the people living with disabilities in Kenya is not really articulated well, mostly in the National Assembly and the Senate, and even at the county levels. When I speak like this, you find that even in terms of nomination of people who are to represent the persons living with disabilities in Kenya, I think public awareness should be done and public participation.
Kama kwa mfano kama ile AGPO. Hiyo AGPO walisema kishirika au 30%. Ile access to procurement hizo. Women, youth, people living with disability. Lakini kama ni nyadhifa za kazi, hiyo bado haishiki pale. Hii tu imeshika kwa upande wa AGPO. Kule kiangalia upande wa kazi, hiyo haijashika. Ndio walisema haijakuwa vile vile ile inatakana. Kwa sababu unapata ile nyingi ni kama kwa mfano hata mtu akona masomo yake lakini anaishi na ulemavu. Napata sasa yule mwajiri anaona mtu kama kumleta kumwajiri mahali itakuwa ni gharama mingi. Mara sio hizo manyumba inakana wajenge waweke sio kuna areas ambazo inakana yani special areas. Sasa unapata hawa wanakuwa discriminated. So unapata kazi mingi hao huwa hawajaangalia vizuri lakini inafanya sasa iwe kisheria. Unajua kitu kiko kisheria ifanye kwa kisheria. Ni kama AGPO. Kitu ya kuongea tu hivi kusema hivi lakini kiwa kisheria ni sheria. Shirika fulani wa kazi mahali popote lazima uhusishe. Lazima tuwe na mtu anaishi na ulemavu. Kwa hiyo unajua mambo mingi ikiwa kwa sheria na sherifu hata hiyo bado ni sawa. Lakini bado saa hii haijazingatiwa kisheria sana. Because one things are written in law. It guide even in employers. Employers wanajua lazima watu tuangalie wapewe nafasi zao.
In this country the people with disabilities are not represented well, especially politically. And speaking on behalf of the people, for example, who are with mental issues, I don't think they are well represented as far as leadership is concerned and other aspects. I don't think that's fair. But that has been entrenched in the Constitution that their rights should be recognized and given to them. It's something not just given by the state, but it's something that they deserve to be accorded as it is entitled to them in the Constitution. So speaking from what there's law and there's practice, but practice has not shown that aspect of really giving the privilege that these people deserve to represent themselves. The Right Honorable Ole Sankok, he's tried to push the agenda of the physically disabled and the other guy from Isaac Mwaura. They have tried to some point, but there's still more to do to get to achieve the level that's supposed to happen on the international level especially. Okay, they have been given those seats by virtue of them being disabled, but they have not shown the kind of that they can be able to stand up on something. Like, for example, could you vote for a disabled person at this moment in time? Who has come out to stand up to have that kind of a stand that you can easily follow? There's no one. So they themselves have not represented themselves properly. So maybe it's an issue of the person they are, maybe it's an issue of us giving opportunities to the right people, but there's an issue of representation.
I think their affairs is represented by the government and the whole private society, because where I come from, where I studied in high school, my girls' school Nairobi, I know the people with disabilities were not undermined or underrated. The government should look into that and literally just take them in. You know, they have the finances, they have the means, so why don't they just look into these people's needs, support them like all these other people who have received support, you know.
Let's take a look at the UN Convention on the rights of persons with disabilities.
Article 24 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties shall ensure that persons with disabilities are able to access general tertiary education, vocational training, adult education and lifelong learning without discrimination and on an equal basis with others. To this end, state parties shall ensure that reasonable accommodation is provided to persons with disabilities.
Disability awareness in Kenya is taking shape. However, in most cases, you'll find that disability campaigns are directed towards adults leaving behind children, and you'll find that children are more prone to staring at persons with disability simply because they are growing and they are curious to ask questions, or rather wonder why exactly someone is different from them. So it is advisable to make sure that as a society at large and the parents out there talk to their children and guide them and take them through disability so that they are able to accommodate persons who are differently abled, and they'll be able to normalize disability as they grow. And in that way, you'll find that we'll no longer talk about stigma and discrimination in the near future. I'm afraid that's where we dock for today, but see you again next week when time and space allows. I've been your host, Jane Theuri. Goodbye.
We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.